That was last year.
Oh, artistic.
Woody Guthrie.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Greg, and I thought up this celebration of Earth Day. Celebration with a twist, shall we say. And I want to encourage I want to insist that everybody either turn their cell phones off, or I've got this handy dandy little app, which is Do Not Disturb, and mine is now set to Not Disturb, and I'd appreciate it if you would. I don't want to say too much about this. I would rather you talk to us. I would encourage an audience talk back after the show. And that said,
from the dark side of the moon, now bright, and never before seen by living eyes, startled to be so violated, William Anders, Boy Scout, born in Hong Kong, raised in California, one holy, Catholic, and apostolic pilot, trained to excel, floats, shifts, tumbles inside Apollo 8. With a master's of science in nuclear engineering, the astronaut, authority in dosimetry, nuclear radiation effects, and environmental control, is in charge of taking lunar pictures. Crater Giordano Bruno. Mare Smithii. Apollo's shadow crawls below, lengthens, points. Oh my God! Look at that, it's the Earth coming up. Wow! For slow as an opening flower, up the barren moonscape, she silent rises into view of three men sent to conquer space and chart the craters of the moon, who now gasp in awe of newfound recognition. This planetary marbled cat's eye, oceanic, atmospheric, fragile. This blue pearl set in unforgiving sky, set in the impossible Goldilocks zone. One rondure, one globe, one happening. From space, no walls, no boundaries, no borders. This mother to 3.5 billion people and growing, to 9 million species, but dwindling. Flecked with oceans and clouds, held in by atmosphere as thin in proportion as the skin to the apple. Alone in the known universe, a living planet is home. Earth, rise.
She's supposed to read, okay? Sorry, Jane.
No worries, no worries. Hello, everybody. This is Nepali Coast. Rushing, stupendous, high voltage. Power flooding white eyes, burnt with white light. Scanning eggshell blue sky. Framed torrent, forest, lime, emerald, loden, acid green. Flowing canopy, dense as midnight. Pregnant growth, cloying, thick, lush fragrance. Creamy, pikaki, plumeria, tuberose. Magnificent. Red-black lava earth, Pele's own. At home with herself. In her intensity, in her immensity, in her riveting peace.
Come forth, O sun, come forth, was the chant by brotherly love of the Survival Revival Hour. The chant began Brother Love's Easter sunrise service on the old Fair Oaks Bridge over the American River in 1970. Hundreds of people attended before dawn. From all over the area, the event was well advertised on KZAP FM radio in Sacramento, where every Sunday night one could listen to the Survival Revival Hour with Brotherly Love and the Greater Carmichael Traveling Street Band and Sanctified Singers, as well as frequent guests on the show like the Frontier, a well-known Sonoma County band, with whom we'd become close friends and often co-collaborators. Come forth, O sun, come forth. Captain Ecology, standing high on the bluffs, answered Brother Love's call. Above the river and the bridge, the captain wore the garb of a superhero in green tights with a hood and a cape and an E for ecology in lightning emblazoned on his chest. One could see in the east and right up the river that the lazy old sun was about to dawn another day. Come forth, O sun, come forth, chanted Brother Love once again, as in as holy a tone as he could muster. The captain again, Brother Love again, one more time, and then right on schedule. Up came the sun. A little boy standing in front of his mother said, "He did it." In these days of the 1970s, we artists of the Survival Revival Hour were doing everything we could to make people aware of the dangers coming in our future if we didn't pay attention to our environment. There was a population bomb coming. The American River was being polluted, and without safeguards, all the American rivers and the American airways were going to be polluted way off there in the future in 1984. And way up there in the 2000s, things were going to get really tough. Because of our efforts to call attention to the need to protect our food sources and our air and our waterways, we were invited to do a live Survival Revival Hour and then be honored at the first annual Earth Day at the University of California in Davis in 1970. There were many celebrations that day, which was the birth of the environmental movement. Senator Gaylord Nelson's awareness of the need to protect our environment grew rapidly, and by 1979, President Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House. Then along came Ronnie Baby. Ronald Reagan and his, well, if you've seen one redwood, you've seen them all. Reagan took those solar panels off the White House as soon as he was president and promised us his trickle-down theory economically. So piss on you. My brothers and I grew up practically on the banks of the American River near Sacramento. It flows out of the Sierras into the Sacramento Valley, where it meets the gigantic, fast-moving Sacramento River, flowing down from Mount Shasta, located in the northern center of our state. It was snow white year-round, Mount Shasta. We seldom saw Shasta without snow on it in those years. We did see it without snow during the recent drought. As boys, we were experiencing the joy of being outside by the river or the creek, the lake, the pond, or the slough, fishing, swimming, boating, camping, hiking, and enjoying together that kind of family activity. The very first Europeans to see the Sacramento Valley spoke of the many Tule marshes, knee-deep in water, and the many rivers and creeks and sloughs that overflowed their banks, covering vast areas of the valley in the rainy season. And they spoke of the enormous amounts of wildlife, birds and animals everywhere.
Arco Santi, 1984, for Paul. A dusty paint cloth of rust and ochre, the desert before us, as we pass shark fins of agave and prickly-ribbed saguaro. At Cordis Junction, down a rutted road in your chrome Buick, looking for Arco Santi, I remember the loose leaf of your black hair, your nails chewed down, a habit you couldn't break. Behind a sardonic smile, you were a believer, hungry for the sublime edge of knowing. I was a skeptic, pretending a smile while coldly reckoning how soon all this optimism in concrete would be riprap on a cluttered planet. We found Solari among the disciples, a hair shirt left on the line, and as we cast the silt, he spoke frugality, connectedness. Then in a downpour, we drove past bristlebrush armadillos back to the City of Angels, bearing a bronze wind bell in sea green patina. The agave, burnt yellow in the sun, roots deep. Solari indoors, crowned with a nimbus of hair, his dream no closer. For though we speak of biosphere, of resources sustainable, you knew this, didn't you? We want the ranch house, the half acre, with an unobstructed view of mountains.
Sound file.
Yeah, give me a minute.
Is that Katrina?
Sorry?
Is it Katrina?
Is that getting pop?
No, stay in touch with nature. No, it's on my thumb drive.
Cell phone. Go ahead and figure that.
Okay. I got it here. Oh, I got it. So glad to be back in the forest, feeling the spongy loam under my feet, bark so rough against my hands, sticky sap, the yellow-green canopy with light softly filtering through to the forest floor. The smell. This forest has been here for centuries. Stay in touch with nature. Go experience. You will soothe your soul in the wilderness. Heading out to the beach, feeling the temperature drop, smelling the salt in the air. Suddenly, there's so much space. All sand and sea and sky. The glittering path going out to the horizon. Feeling the heat radiating from the sand. The sound of the waves. Stay in touch with nature. Go experience. You will soothe your soul in the wilderness. In the boat for over an hour, suddenly gulls dive bombing into the sea. Then a tail pops up, a fin. I see an eye. These whales are so magnificent. I am humbled. Stay in touch with nature. Go experience. You will soothe your soul in the wilderness. Thank you.
California coast. 3 red roofs on a sea roar cliff. 3 boxes, clapboard, glass, azure houses set at the verge of a slow-flowing continent. A rich blue-green rolls into trenches, foaming crests carried all the way from China. Rocks pounded, and iron red dirt, foundation and yard, once layered beneath an older ocean. A seafloor burst through cracks and volcano mouths from the earth's deep down fluid wet. And beneath, the earth's own fire. And before, stars, stars, stars.
Sedona. I woke up to your spilled clouds, fingers of sunlight touching down across landscapes whiter than my thoughts. your red-shouldered fists solid against a gradient sky, silent sentinels guarding nature's cathedral. I carve my initials in your twisted juniper to mark my way, climb the marigolds and silver leaves towards mother's womb. We took the turquoise trail down Route 66 to get to you, stopped to smell the ponderosa pines, and crossed miles of speckled land. And I feel so small in this vortex, lost in our own spoken conversation. So I can see.
Learning my name. We have a dialogue, this tree and I, back to my first lonely run across the morning, light pursuing me like a bandit threatening anonymity. I pointed out now to my husband, look, there it is, my tree. But on that dawn, jogging up the hill, my heart feuding with itself, blood goose-stepping in my temples, my chest, I thought I'd die before I'd reach the top. Still, up I went, up the slick slope to the plateau where I collapsed at the foot of the giant pin oak and lay there in the green lull till breath came easy. Lay there a good hour inhaling the dark fumes of mold and peat moss and regenerating worms. When I sat up and looked around me, I was landlocked, beached. I, who'd grown up defying the surge and undertow of seas and oceans, earthbound. Yet I had come to cherish this land, its contours, comforting as dawn, reassuring as my grandmother's arms had been, ready always to bear my pain. In the distance, I could see a fox strutting across the meadow. Above me, sparrows weaving their nest. Above them, a hawk on the lookout for game. Oh, I was happy, I guess. I leaned back against the tree, patted the jagged bark behind me in a reverse embrace and heard, I swear, clear as a whisper of love, I heard my name.
Act 2. What is wealth in a gilded age? Stockpiled Italian furnishings? Houses larger than hospitals? Owning more than everything? Has it always been the course of blood to heat a power suit? To drip down the channel of a red tie from chin to glands? To amplify fat luxury lips to a wet red slash above a tightened neck? If sparks from the stars grinding by overhead have nothing to do with it, what is this glittering, boxed in black velvet, its fuse secured by military dragons flashing the mirrors of fear? Wherever light might escape, the power grid keeps the doors shut. Wealth in a gilded age hides itself with itself. Only dust can put a finger on it.
In Puglia, the ancestors are dying. On the heel of Italy, the olive trees are dying. Xylella fastidiosa, spread by spittle bugs, choke the trees so they wither from thirst. A grizzled old farmer stands desperate and baffled in the ghostly shadows of an orchard that fed his family for 100 years. Conspiracy theories, denial, wild claims, Monsanto, the mafia, Scientists of 60 million olive trees, 20 million affected, gnarled trunks chopped to roots, branches burned, hope for a disinfectant of zinc, copper, or citric acid, a soil treatment insects can't endure. Consider the rising heat and ruinous floods that hammered the orchards. As temperatures rise, insects multiply, need more food, and so more crop loss. In Puglia, already, an olive tree apocalypse, a race against pathogen, spittlebug, and time.
Brownout, or power to the people. It's 108, heat index 128. I park my SUV under a tree and retreat to a warm mint julep and the New York Times, my only source of news. Photos of firemen carrying baked octogenarians out of their apartments on stretchers hog the front page of the paper. On page 8, 10,000 tilapia float belly up off the coast of Long Beach, their cold blood having reached boiling point. In Florida, fishermen flinch from the poisonous acids invading their nets. Skin from their hands and arms mingles with the dying coral, dead crabs. I grab a power bar and wake the children, sprawled wet and naked on the back seat. In the hothouse, the orchids gasp for water every few hours. Our lawns burnt to a brittle ochre. We follow my lantern's eerie circle through the breathless night, searching for redemption, forgiveness, and light.
Earth Song. It all starts in the sea. The many, many songs. The haunting, the morning call of the humpback whale. Sweet sea kisses, the quiet, the honey sand beach. Storm warnings, seas rising, seawater rising up against the protective granite arms, enfolding, embracing, new, now Kelly Green spring marshland. Haughty gulls screech sarcasm, furious, sharp with questions, the harsh sound, the scale of inquiry. Inquiry into the force, the key of life. Smell it, the fragrance, the salt. Salt hears all that has been lost. Lives, ships, species, devastation. The effect of ignorance. Ignorance, greed, Homo sapiens. We Homo sapiens define ourselves. Ignorance, greed, loss. What was is gone in all its vibrance, in its shimmering beauty. The bright ocean struggles against our ongoing assault.
The master at work. No.
Oh, that's not you. That's not you.
No.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, it's finding X's here, I'll just grab it.
It's on. Oh, it's on the. Should I put mine on?
That worked.
I got it here.
You got it here.
Yeah, I got it. There were jungles everywhere. Humidity hung in the air. Vines crawling endless places. Dinosaurs. Homeostasis. Meteor crash. A swirling mess. Was paradise, then darkness. With bitter cold, the jungles wilt and rot. Beneath the silt, it snowed and snowed and snowed and snowed, encasing all this mess. Then this pernicious brew creates a toxic bubble, seals our fate. Layers of ice, pack it down, hold the bubble underground. Layers of ice, pack it down, now glaciers hold it down. The air's warming, the ice is melting. It's warming, it's melting. The methane bubble, the methane bubble, the methane bubble. The methane bubble, it's coming. The methane bubble, it's coming. Emissions gotta stop, or it's methane pop. Emissions got to stop, or it's methane pop. The methane bubble, it's coming. The methane bubble, it's coming. Like a fart, sneak up and surprise us. In 5 minutes pop, all life will stop. The methane bubble, the methane bubble, the methane bubble. The methane bubble, the methane bubble, it's coming. The methane bubble, it's coming. It's warming up, rising up. Here it comes, get ready. What's that smell? Methane. What's that smell? Methane. Emissions gotta stop, or it's methane pop. Emissions got to stop, or it's methane pop. Thank you.
Do you want to do Mary Lou, or what, how are we doing this?
Eric, do you have Mary Lou's YouTube queued up?
Yes, I do.
It was on the screen.
That's this guy, right?
Sound up?
1.5 degrees. The earth is not dying, it is being killed, and the people killing it have names and addresses. The next time you buy plastic cups, straws, toothbrushes, or utensils, big box items, sales, shiny shoes, and non-essentials, perhaps a toy truck for your kid, or a little pink pony, they've gaslighted you into consumerism. There's no time left for ceremony. We are the creators, the groomers, the keepers, the non-believers of our weather warned of change. We are the voyeurs, the destroyers, with so many atmospheric rivers unconstrained. We are the buyers, deniers, strolling down big aisles of dreams. We keep the wrath of rising floods streaming live on our TVs. 24 hours of breaking news, people stranded on their roofs. There's no truce or treaty left to make from all the massive hurricanes. So pray for a safe place to live or simply to be saved. Smoking skies of fire and heat, sunburnt dirt and barched trees, vultures flying overhead to turn a profit and eat the dead. They say, let the grotty breathe the air of toxic wastes. It's them we spare. People clutch their face in masks from deadly viruses. Don't ask. They don't need more than what they have. But poor corporate chaos only breeds more artificial sweeteners, greed of animal consumption, obesity and dysfunction, landfills and recycling, felling trees and mining, insecticides and seeding that leave our people and our planet bleeding. But trillionaires' trash cannot outlast a polluted world from oil and gas. And Mother Nature doesn't wager with legislatures. We are all the voyagers of our toxic troposphere. We cook and fever our oceans year after year. We want freedom, money, power, and fame. We sit in silence and then we blame them for the uninhabitable world they claim is coming. And by God, it's coming.
This poem is called Los Alamos, and there's an epigraph. As soon as Groves saw it, he said, in effect, "This is the place." This is quoted in Richard Rhodes' The Making of the Atomic Bomb. Why the name? Not a poplar in sight, not a sapling, not a songbird, not a soul. In the circular distance, Las Truchas, implacable peaks, second highest in New Mexico, secure the sky to the land. The pueblo bearing their name reclining in the hollow of one slope, waiting, watchful of the encroaching barrenness below. Crosses carved from the raw earth lays lurid warnings across our path, reminding us, yes, this is the place. We drive past an old adobe hut, the face of Christ, painted in a blaze of reds and blacks across its whole facade, looks back at us in pain and disbelief. Los Alamos, sacred secret origin of death. The name explodes within my head. Dust blood settles on my eyelids, my tongue. We slow down, as though searching for something to still the shame. A sign of hope, of purpose, of forgiveness. Silence, a dry silence, a dusty silence. And in the shadow of the trading post, half hidden from the brutal sky, sullen youngsters damn us with their eyes. They do not wave as we drive by.
A fissure in the world. Any geologist can tell you when you stick a straw in soda, everything goes down. Gone. The marshlands of slender willows, rafts of lily pads, mottled ducks, blue heron, and rich dark soil. Sucked out. The land slumps. the wetlands melt away. On a Sunday afternoon, the air thick as honey, you flew over Lake Pontchartrain and 17th Street, where the water breached the levees to make a wasteland of the 9th Ward, Lakeview, Mid-City, Gentilly, streets of dank green water strewn with loose boards, strips of corrugated roofs, while on the wharf the fires burned, tiny suns beneath the gray smoke sky. At the poetry reading in New York, a guy in Armani shouts, "I came for your poetry, not your politics." She says, global warming, this green morning. She spells out the scientist's name. Fan coral, like white fur and red arteries, the staghorn, craggy as antlers, the brown mounds are dimpled mushrooms. The coral survives because of algae, and when the temperature rises, even 1 degree, it takes 5,000 years from the skeletons of tiny sea animals and a delicate balance of light, of heat.
I'm singing a song. It's called Here's Looking at You, Kid. Are you cueing the...
Supposed to have the music, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have it? Okay.
You have it on your phone?
I could try.
Backup. Good to have backup. Yes.
Where is it? Oh. I don't know where it is.
What's the name of the song?
Here's Looking at You, Kid. Oh, I found it in... Okay. It's working. Seas are rising, getting hotter every day. What are we doing? Throwing our future away. We've heard the warning sound, the clarion call. What are we doing to protect it all? Do we understand the stakes of delays and mistakes? Our backs against the wall, headed for a fall. Here's looking at you, kid. Here's looking at you, kid. Bees are dying, our soil is wearing thin, Mother Nature's crying, what a mess we're in. Water deserts, not a drop to drink. How's this gonna go down? We are on the brink. Do we understand the stakes of delays and mistakes? Our backs against the wall. Okay. understand the stakes of delays and mistakes. There's still a chance we can change our ways and buy some time. Can we learn to dance, cooperate and pray for all the lives on the line? Understand the stakes of delays and mistakes. Our backs against the wall, headed for a fall. Here's looking at you, kid. Here's looking at you, kid. Here's looking at you, kid. Here's looking at you, kid.
December 2023. I sit where I always do, in the back, by a window, watchful and dismayed as the horizon recedes into landscapes grayed with the productions of greed, measurements of the air, the water, the numbers hospitalized, crushed and starved, the ravages upon species already in extravagant decline. Waves of uncertainty pass through the sky, high, cold harbingers, storms already launched, speeding toward us, raining with grief. December is ending. The final month of the year carries over like prophets touted by managers of power, well-armed and consolidating over decades deep into the previous century and deeper even than that. Into this history arrives the pandemic of the death of life on earth as we know it. Disappeared from their homes, who will miss the orb spider? Who will miss the earthworm, the house sparrow, or the albatross? The air bred in the bone waves the hand that counts only its own. Commons and culture displaced by weapons and billionaire investments in clear cuts and drinkable water. When we cut, we choke. When we mine, we choke. When we bomb, we choke. When we poison the water, we join the lineup leading to the cliff we bulldozed ourselves. Our armies already direct us. From the rubble, already heaped, already piling, in the ghostly, unerring future, ironic points of light radiate shouts, ricocheting in the streets. My cry is among them, one for the other, everyone, a wealth of shapes, colors, species, breathing the same air provided by all that is green, living, and wild. For us, I offer these words, inscribed on a banner, a wall, rising from a throat, shouting or singing words, centering the street, grappling the absolutely impossible future. Forged with the heat of our pounding hearts, our voices mingled in rhythms older than even this calamity, songs as old as the dawn, singing together, we know them, we know them. We know them by heart.
It's those calls in the middle of the night. Unless a baby's being born, it's not usually good news. I got a call like that on October 8th, 2017, the middle of the night, from my brother Ken in Redwood Valley, California. We're in a ring of fire and we're being evacuated. I eagerly await more news of my other two brothers, their homes and families. The Fry Winery, our dearest family and friends. Later, Ken calls to tell me there's nothing left of his beautiful and wonderful animal sanctuary and main family gathering place and heaven on earth. Nothing left but the ashes in the well. Hundreds of homes wiped out, even down in Santa Rosa and as far north as Willits. So many stories of daring and barely escapes and of sad deaths and maimings. I have 3 brothers and their families in Redwood Valley. They live within 5 miles of each other. We came within a few feet of all 4 of us having our homes burned down in 2017. The Fry Winery, Moore family, burned out, and nearly all the homes gone except the big house. We sit on the ridge, once the lawn, near the ash of the children's swings. The little Buddha shrine garden survives. How easy to see them all. The swings, the house, the garden, the birds, the critters. A camping tent is put up where the screen room once was. We sit outside at fire and look. Where once the house, a one-room picker's shack converted into a comfortable home, a nice deck overlooking the creek existed and thrived. The Civil War silverware under the bed has fallen into the ash and dust, covered in white plastic, awaiting abatement before salvage. The land looks so different since the firestorm, sounding like a jet engine, a train in front of it, denuded underbrush, blackened tree sticks, pines cut and laying about, piles of tin on ash, blackened stench where the turkeys got cooked, the land exposed by fire, the pond closer now without foliage, creek bed covered in straw and white plastic. 40 years of living and accumulating. Adult lives full of children growing, struggling to feed, clothe, teach, secure, grow older. Celebrations of life, up top at the bar and workshop, in the greenhouse for guests, down across the creek in the little shanty, or out back at the barn. Always celebrating with fire in stoves and in pits. Great food, great wine, great weed and song, laughter and drama on this land. A library of books, albums, keepsakes, a family legacy vanishes by fire and 60-mile-an-hour winds. What do I do now? Slow motion, contemplation, evaluation. Our homes remain rich in our memories. Whatever comes next will never be what was. What started from nothing, nothing to nothing. New beginning or an old ending. Oak, redwood, palm, and kinfolk survive. Little green blades of grass and mushrooms emerge. The bobcat seen again. The Canada geese return to the pond. Mother Nature not deterred. Wildflowers replace wildfires. Debris will disappear. Saws sharpen. Structures rise up. Trees grow, seeds, new growth, surprises, new generations of energy, determination, good health, and strength live on. Live on. May it be so. May it be so.
Who's going to pay? I keep asking myself to set a bulwark against the rising sea. Who's going to pay until at last the 12th of never, when we force ourselves to see the damage that's been done, been finally wrought, fraught consequence of troubled history? Denial of their exploitation, not so much as a penny from industries that profit from deception and deceit. Hey, here's a thought. Let's fine the fossil fools for damages, set up a fund, delete their tax breaks, throw the goddamn liars in jail.
Yeah.
Island folk will need a place to stay. Give them the liars' homes. Make them pay. Yeah.
Act 3. Chill. There's a bite in the air in this desert coast terrain, the weather as moody as its people. I wear scarves in June, carry a change of clothes in case a fault line breaks its silence. And while a sunny sky may provide a backdrop for dreamers, the elders of the earth, their jagged bones in rocks and mountains, point their noses towards heaven, bend their backs against the sea, reminding us that Mother Nature has a temper.
Perhaps, just maybe, they have a voice. It dispenses wisdom, speaking volumes, higher to lower registers. They all carry the sure word. Plates slide abruptly, strident in tone. Mountainous seawater walls consume slim spits of land. Earth reclaims her birthright. They do have voices. They have strong voices, created in the roiling cobalt seas, created in the thirst-driven deserts, created in the blue-black heart of granite, absolved in the circling winds, high and holy with all their wet tears. They all have a voice. We are just deaf to it. We must learn to listen.
I want to tell a story, not the birds and the bees. I'm talking trees, shooting the breeze. Photosynthesis is giving me chills like skateboarding the Hollywood Hills. Digging ecology, it's totally free. Think like a tree, third eye connectivity. Have lots of fun. Come along with me. Let's get the show on the road, our destiny. Hands all around, hands all around. Eye on the positive, trees in the ground. Growing together, fighting air pollution, planting more trees, green revolution. Planting more trees, what a great idea. Gets real results, not a panacea. Trees store carbon somehow, some way, absorbing bad emissions every day. Planting trees, a fantastic action, a love transaction with satisfaction. Oxygen, fruits, their place to live. The power of trees, transformative. Hands all around, eye on the positive, trees in the ground. Growing together, fighting air pollution, plant more trees, green revolution. Plant a tree today, you'll feel so good. The best place to start, in your neighborhood. Make a canopy to shade us when we gather. Mother Nature heals. Stephen T. Mather. Trees can heal this climate crisis. Let's leave the children paradise. Grab a shovel and a friend, roll up those sleeves. Let's get started planting trees.
The visionary, the provocateur. If, like me, you lived through the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, you can never discard hope. Historian and urban theorist Mike Davis. Mike Davis grew up Catholic, bullied by rednecks in Fontana, a place he later called with affection that junkyard of dreams. After reading Hiroshima, his worldview shifted. He worked as a meat cutter, truck driver, organized anti-war rallies, turned his rejected dissertation into City of Courts with a staccato, take no prisoners style. Early on, I was gobsmacked by his writing about drought, wildfire, earthquake, apocalypse, turbocharged capitalism, and climate disruption. I grew up in LA with the smog so thick it made your eyes sting and you forgot all about the San Gabriel Mountains. I recognized my California. We're all passengers on a runaway train. Then his books about greed and hubris, the velocity of social change, the world's tragic mega-slum cities, dumping grounds for the unskilled and unprotected. The car bomb is the poor man's Air Force. Davis was brilliant with a ferocious work ethic, curious about everything, always saying, despair is useless. For years, he encouraged students to visit, dive into the research in his garage's file cabinets. The light is always on. The light is always on.
Wallflowers. And this is an epitaph. We build our house and chop our wood and make our garden grow. That's Voltaire, Candide. I welcome the weeds, their awkward stance, feathered caps, flower rings, and big skirts swaying in the wind. Outside my window, the Spanish brooms are bending down to banter with the fat hens and crabgrass. They're all huddled together, carousing in witticisms to get through the dullness of the day. We got a bunch of hippies rebelling against weed whackers. You know, total conformists who only applaud pruned hedges, manicured lawns, and baby cherubs. So many yards void of all colors, luxuriance, unable to camouflage a midnight romp and cover up the bald spot of a middle-aged man. No loose leaves to spice up a summer soup or dry herbs to smoke before a dip in the pool. Not even Calder-like kinetic art for those of us with an imaginary eye. Nada. So I welcome the weeds, my wild friends, uninvited to the dance, gathered on the periphery of popularity. Their rollicking lifestyle is gussing up an otherwise uptight world.
Is Mary Lou's video going to be shown? Or should I go on?
Yeah, I'll video. Mary Lou. Why don't we go ahead with silence and do that after? Go ahead, Susan.
Okay. Silence. Mi illumino di immenso. I am illuminated by the immensity. Giuseppe Ungaretti. Silence pools silence pools in flight. Faint ripples, tail feathers dust the air. Wings waver the almighty nothing until water, once a mirror, rises into waves, refuses to say anything. Great blue heron, rising from its wade in shallow waters, shimmering fish tight at its beak, ignores directions from the high rises hemming the wetlands. Time pools in silence, in dreams, singing, sex, sounds mingling until there is only the breath of the beloved. I drown in time, but never die. I swim from shore to shore and shore to shore, water caught in a cup held under a faucet, water, hand, cup, faucet, water in cycles, breath in cycles, time in loops so large it seems to flow in one direction. Granite boulders, huge speckled bird eggs, hatch slowly as soil, as sandy beach washed in rivers to the continent's edge, by continents rolled over, swept under, weathered at depth, to primal grains, red-heated, molten, to rise again as granite. In the garden, caterpillars spin lambent cocoons, lanterns among the rows.
Do we have Mary Lou's video?
No. Hang on, it's here.
That's all right. This path is steep and rugged and covered in stones. This switchback tangle seems to turn in circles amid the mists of confusion. We've left behind the shattered glass, the broken concrete, the plastic trash we had to pick up along the way. Yes, it's hot, and yes, we sweat. But yet, we carry on because we've that far left to go. But come, let us stop for a while and rest. We sip good water to restore our bodies. We close our hands in a circle of peace. Let us break bread, share what we have, gather our brokenness for the journey ahead. For we do have much still to do. And as we find strength in one another's eyes, let us take a pause in breath and enter into beauty.
Why not the promised land? I just don't understand. Why not the promised land? It's so peaceful in the promised land. And the water is so clean and fresh and tasty. And the air is so pure. And the trees and the hills are so green, especially in the spring. And the berries are so ripe. And the flowers so colorful and fragrant. And the peaches so fuzzy. And the people are all smiling in the land of milk and honey. Milk and honey, baby. Milk and honey. I just don't understand. Why not the promised land? Thank you for coming.
We would like to have a talk back. I could use a glass of wine right now. Anyone want to stick around and talk?
How about a bottle?
I like that. And Cass, please, I hope you can. You know what? Never mind the wine, I don't need that. If we take a break, it's not going to happen. I'm curious to know about your concerns and about whether you too suffered, what is it, democracy, grief, and climate anxiety.
I have something. I'm really concerned about plastic in the environment. And
About what?
plastic.
Plastic.
We need, thank you, this is so wonderful. Plastic, the plastic petroleum companies sell plastic packaging to companies and they make trillions of dollars and it's not recycled, really. Private businesses, maybe like Nike, but it's, there's a film, it's called Frontline, it's called Plastic Wars, and they're interviewing a corporate guy, and he's like, oh yeah, we thought we'd try and see if, we told them we'd recycle, and it worked, It just goes into landfills, and there's like 40 feet of plastic on the bottom of the ocean. And I think, if everyone could carry their own reusable eating utensils with them, like I got this cute fork from Salvation Army, and vintage kind of, any kind of thing will work. But I carry those in my bag, and then if I eat out, I use them and then wash them off or wipe them off and rinse them when I get home. And I carry my water and my reusable drink cup with me. And I keep talking about it to people like, you should carry on your reusable eating utensils. And it just, I live near a Starbucks, and they're just like the lines going into Starbucks. And the new plastic sippy cups, well, they're not so new anymore. But I mean, it's like, and I'll say, reuse your cup. And they're like, and I read this book called Plastic Purge by Michael St. Clements, that they have it at the library. And I bought several copies on eBay and I gave them to some people, and that just lifted the veil. I mean, it's just, he tells the history. It's kind of a short read. Well, it's not a short read, but and anyway, he's a young guy in Colorado with a family, and he has a PhD in some kind of environmental thing. But it's just, we're just so used to seeing plastic, and also I buy like a detergent now, the Earth Breeze. It comes in sheets in a cardboard box, and True Earth. Yeah, and now they have several kinds now, which is, look at those big plastic tubs of detergent. I mean, it's like, it's not disappearing.
May I chime in just to remind
Anyway,
people
thanks for letting me say something.
that this is coming from the fossil fuel industry.
Oh, it's the petroleum company.
Right.
Yes, which is oil, which is gas, which is petroleum. It's all the same thing.
And they're trying to sham
Fossil
us
fuel.
into recycling with this sham recycling. I do it anyway.
It's like, oh yeah, me too.
I do too.
Yeah.
But you can, but they refuse to take responsibility for their own mess and take it back. And have
Well, it's
patience.
complicated, you know?
Oh, it is.
And I wrote I started in like 2017 sending letters to like the government and the school district. And they actually started having the wooden forks and the paper straws. And I'm like, I wonder if I had any effect on that or something. But, and then I got tired after like a year of writing letters. I wrote to the governor. And it's tough, you know, it's like, because they have this huge industry, the petroleum industry, the fossil fuels industry.
Everything's money.
Yes.
They are never held to account.
It needs to be win-win, you know? Yeah.
Thank you. So write letters and help.
And don't give up.
And don't give up, and help with ideas, like, you know, if everyone carried their own reusable eating utensils with them, and
Yeah.
pass it on, talk
Anybody
about
else?
it.
I'd like to say that the Saudi Arabian and all of the oil states, having blended with their ideas with Israel, as they say, we have the money, Israel has the brains, and the fact that America is now the greatest producer of natural gas and, in fact, oil. The greatest producer is here in our midst. And the fact that Biden has introduced a bill that is, they say, one of the great innovations in terms of a world that might survive. I'd like to see the results of that. But what should we really be asking for? So I'd like to have a vote. Could you all put up your hands, and would you mind doing this? If I'm actually able to remember what I was going to ask you. I remembered. If we are able to install, if the government would be able to install solar on every single roof that can take it in this country, would we pay for it? Would you vote to pay for it? So can we have a vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it unanimous?
Yes.
Pretty close.
But I have
So-
a caveat. I have a caveat in my vote, and that is that it's controlled municipally by the taxpayers,
Correct.
not by PG&E,
Right.
which is the cause of 93% of the fires
Right.
in
Yes.
California.
We don't
So
need
So
if
it's
we
gonna be
did this,
locally
we would
controlled.
eliminate the need for oil and gas.
and those
in
wires going
large
through the
amounts.
forest.
It would be the most
We don't need them.
We don't need.
amazing thing that could happen to us
You know,
if we could have it on our roofs.
Yeah.
the politicians say you don't need to make sacrifices. You can maintain your same old lifestyle, go shopping, consume, but you don't need to make sacrifices. And they're feeding us all a line of BS. We do have to make changes. And they've got to be honest about it, but we have to make them. They're supposedly our servants, aren't they? Public servants. And we have to make them
They're
begin to serve us.
they're billionaires.
Serve us.
I want to say something.
Yeah, and that's why I propose make them pay.
Yes.
Remember the tobacco industry?
Yes.
They fought it, and eventually the real scientists stripped away all of the BS, and the big tobacco was forced to pay into a mitigation fund for all those people suffering from emphysema, cancer, asthma, all kinds of respiratory diseases, and death, by the
But
way.
they won't pay. Will we all
They-
pay?
they were
Will
forced
we
to
share
pay.
this and pay?
They were forced to pay. And the fossil
It's
fuel
very
industry
unlikely.
must be
But we all
forced to
have to
pay into a
Why
mitigation
can't we
fund.
all pay?
We are paying.
We all
No,
do
I mean,
pay.
to do this free on everyone's roof is not what we're paying for yet.
No.
It's free. The country gives this to us free. In other words, creates the funds, takes it from the military funds, which are ridiculous at this point. We are given that gift to have that everywhere in the country.
I pay extra for my electricity bill because I go green.
Me too.
Greg, there's a sister in the back wants to say something.
Everyone,
No,
free
I
of
was gonna
charge.
say, my mother, Jenny Ratzinger, she was a huge activist. I know activism can make a difference because all the curb cuts you see in the city and everywhere, she was an activist, she was behind those. She's an example that activism can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good on her.
Yeah.
I also think if they would show what our blueprint is on this planet, because people don't recognize how much waste we individually are, contributing to the issues that we have. And I think, recycling is one thing, but just when you go into a store and buy any kind of packaging is plastic. Any kind of things that we are wrapped in plastic, covered in plastic, everything is plastic except for a light bulb. That's in a tiny little skinny cardboard. I never understood that. But everything else is plastic when you don't need it. So, how do we go back to jars? How do we go back to glass?
I only glass jars for probiotics.
Yeah.
And just to point out, I've challenged myself with a personal best because I know how it's really hard, but to try to not buy plastic. And do you know you can buy dental floss that is in paper packaging? You can buy toothpaste now, in a little glass jar at the co-op and online. Really? And also, I want to bring up two things. One, going back to your point about fossil fuels, not only is the U.S. the greatest fossil fuel extractor in the world, beyond the Middle East, etc., we are the largest user of fossil fuels on the earth. You know which department in our government uses the most fossil fuel on earth?
State Department.
The Department of Defense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we are, it's like, it's a given. I want to bring up one other thing,
That's the
PFAS.
Department of Offense.
Are you aware of PFAS?
Of course.
Like your
Oh, yes.
plastic, your dental floss and those little plastic containers, anything that's glossy and waterproof, it's lined with PFAS. We put it in our mouths. All those paper cups that have glossy lining, takeout paper containers with the glossy lining, that's PFAS.
It's kind of like
What's that? It's what's being called polyfluoro, don't ask me.
It's PFUS.
Plastic? Yeah, PFAS, PFAS.
Is it PFUS?
There are all kinds of variants. They also use them to line these nonstick pans.
Non-stick pans,
They're
whatever.
feet.
Anyway,
That's how we
it's
get most
highly
of it.
toxic and carcinogenic, it's been proven, but it's a really, and so we have, this is something we can choose to do, is to support the companies that are making these products like
Just don't use them.
and if you can buy your toothpaste in this little glass jar and buy
It's on milk cartons as well. Is it not?
It's so
I can't
ubiquitous.
It's sort of iron.
I wish they had a bulk toothpaste. You could bring your own jar and fill it.
That's a good idea.
Oh, yeah, you can.
And then toothbrush.
Just selling
Yeah.
a plastic packaging, it makes our infrastructure, the quality of our infrastructure, but it's so consumer, it needs to be win-win, it's not all about.
Yeah, I think there are many
It
solutions.
looks like we're starting to,
We're hungry.
yeah, let's call it a break. Keep at it, don't let yourself get depressed, and
And thank you, Greg, for.
Thank you, Greg.
all kinds of challenges, and he's risen to do the best he can.
You guys,
Let's give him
you guys did a great job.
Guitarists are just
I don't think it did. It just takes more time.